Hey everybody, per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. So this is an altcoin extravaganza video. It's a long one. I'm going to lose most of you by the end, so I'll say this now. Like or dislike, comment, share, subscribe, hit me up on Twitter. I want 10,000 likes. I'm kidding. I'm standing up. I got my coffee in me. Let's take a look at some altcoins. Is it alt season? Yes or no? TLDW, it's not, but some alts are looking bottomy. We'll look at, I don't know, 20 charts. What do I got up here? We'll figure it out. So let's start with one of the very few things that I find valuable that Fundstrat puts out, which is their basic alt season on or not, is it hot or not situation. All they're doing is looking at charts that have measured 200% in the past 90 days or 3 months. And you can see right now it's nothing, and basically what they're saying is when this starts to pop off, then we get our super cycles, we get our quote-unquote alt season where you almost can't lose money based on just throwing money at a dartboard, okay? So using this as our base, as the foundation, we're going to go forward and look at some charts. So whenever I'm looking at a ton of alt charts, I always start with the altcoin market cap, at least I have in the last 6 months. So I'm looking at where are the big support resistance levels just zoomed way out. Where are the previous patterns? Where have they broke down? How are things looking trend-wise? Do things look reversally on aggregate? Do they look like trend continuation on aggregate? And you can see, I'll just go quickly through where we were, where we've been. We had a rising wedge that broke up, then just a series of head and shoulder-ish patterns that broke down, W bottom broke up, head and shoulders broke down, and then a rising wedge-ish that broke down, a really giant and clean diamond bottom-y thing that could have broken up, didn't, broke down, okay, fine, just go, down, and then we have this inverted head and shoulders, didn't quite break up. This is mainly ETH here, outperforming everything. Now what we had was a falling wedge breakup yesterday, 2 days ago, and we have the potential for an Adam Eve basically on every single chart on the USD pair that you'll see. And I'll point that out over and over again, just echoing that, and you'll see it. It's not clean, it's not perfect, it should not be discounted. Should the probability of the pattern decrease based on what you're expecting? Yes, it's not perfect, but I wouldn't say it's not there. I say this every time, but in Legacy, Adam Eve, these double bottom patterns tend to match the lows. In crypto, they almost never match the low. So the Eve is almost always higher than the Adam. As far as targets, I'll measure this out on the other charts for the most part, but it's just the measured move and the 1618 fib. What I'm showing here is the previous breakpoint of the diamond as like the highest high that it's not gonna just shoot past all this consolidation zone. That's not how this stuff works. So you can see it consolidated here for months. The probability that it's gonna shoot through this zone is slim to none. It's gonna at least pause, it's gonna recognize there was a lot of volume here. Most likely it's going to consolidate again. We may get a continuation pattern, we may get a reversal pattern, but you need to watch it as it's happening. The other part of this is the extreme low of the diamond and or the previous cliff on the low time frame bear flag, also a resistance point. So again, it's not just going to shoot through those areas. This is going to be likely, if we go up, I don't know, I'm not saying, I'm not going to be the only bull in the room here, but if it goes up, this is where it's probably going to pause. So the previous chart was coinsignals.trade, not TradingView. I think you can see that on TradingView now, that altcoin market cap. These are market caps of like the top 9 coins that I like to look at and compare recently, just to see who's outperforming who's Stellar, for instance, dying versus everything else. How is Tron performing versus everything else? What's the Ripple ETH dance look like? So that sort of thing. It also helps steer me into the trades I'm looking at based on things that have outperformed or underperformed. For instance, Litecoin's up 30% yesterday. Do I think it's going to outperform everything else continually? I don't think so. Certainly the halving and the hype around Charlie Lee and the privacy stuff is helping Litecoin right now. But I have to keep in the back of my head that it already performed extremely well yesterday. Is it going to continually bump up 30%? Probably not. So keep that in mind. You know, if I have X amount of money, I'm deciding what to put where, I want to look for stuff that's pre-breakout or ready to break out. I don't want to necessarily enter things that are already post-broken out or have already made their move. You want to buy strength, sure, but when the market isn't completely in sync, there are certain things that you can sort of move around, rotate in and out of pretty effectively in crypto, I think, especially now that, you know, Litecoin is sort of the weather vane, oddly enough, for everything. And the LTC BTC chart has really outperformed a lot of stuff. So that's bullish in general, another like confluence factor that I'm looking at for crypto as a whole. And yes, I work for BraveNewCoin. I'll put all the links in the description below with timestamps so you can click around, you know, skip if you don't like some coin I'm talking about, just skip around. I'm going to use their market cap table. I'll skip a few of these. I'm not going to talk about BCH at all, mainly because it's too centralized and the charts are a mess and they don't make sense to me. I just avoid trading it, period. Some of these down the line I won't talk about as well for no particular reason other than I just don't trade them, don't look at them, don't really know much about them, don't really care. But you'll see as we go on. And then the last thing before the chart is the screener. Let's see if I can zoom this in. So if you want to look at that metric I was talking about in the beginning with the 200% in the past 90 days, on TradingView they have a crypto screener that you can look at the 3-month performance, just sort by that, and off you go. Obviously, nothing up 200% here. I also just put in USD. I mean, you can check BTC as well. Nothing up 200%. You can see some stuff is up pretty heavily. There's definitely like repeated things in here. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Just it's a quick check, sanity check. Alt season or not, you know, you don't need to check crypto Twitter. Okay, just use some metric standard that you just look at every time. I think the 200% in 90 days is pretty decent. We're also going to start with the Dogecoin. That's right. So much like LTC, it's the weather vane of alt season for the most part. I think there's a general consensus on that. Doge loves to range between 20 and 100 sats, 15 to 110, something like that. It's in the middle right now, which doesn't really tell me anything. You can see that when it's coming off the bottom is generally when alt season is. You can also measure these peaks, and they're generally like 250 to 400 days or something. So we're kind of not quite there yet, but we're getting there. I don't know what this is. This is a weekly chart, by the way. I'm going to look at everything else on the daily chart. I only look at Doge on the weekly. I only look at Doge BTC. I don't look at Doge USD. Some people might. I don't know. Maybe there's some information there that I am not abreast to, but I don't look at it ever for any reason. There's no divs here. There's nothing. It's just kind of sideways. Its RSI is probably about 50, which is good if you think it's going to go up or down. It just says it's like in the middle, ready to make a decision. But overall, there's nothing standing out here to me that says alts are ready to move. You know, it's not at 15 or 20 sats, for instance, Doge. It's not rounding like it would be, you know, in these spots. So there's nothing pressing here for me. All right, I'll go down the market cap list. I marked up most of these. Start with Ripple. The left will be the USD chart. The right will be the BTC chart. Again, for the most part, you'll see on the USD pairs, Adam and Eve. On the BTC pairs, it'll be a smorgasbord of things. So for Ripple, I zoomed way out on this. This is Bitstamp. You can see the previous triangle consolidation. It probably won't go lower than that anytime soon. Based on what I'm seeing on the cloud trend, it does look like it wants to go lower. It also looks like it's got this weird head and shoulders fractal. It's got a high, high, high. So if it breaks this low, which it's very close to, it's probably going to 20 cents, 22 cents, something like that. It probably won't just fall off the bottom. Again, why? Because it's consolidated in the past in this zone. It's going to consolidate again before it makes a decision. The BTC pair is just a mess. Doesn't look like anything. Cloud is telling you it's sideways. There's no there. It's oddly, for most of these charts, the trend looks one way or the other. It doesn't necessarily look sideways as much as Ripple BTC does here. ETH. So ETH probably has the cleanest atom left, which is what this is referred to, this V here. And Adam Eve, it's a common fractal that you'll see as a double bottom on just about every chart in existence ever. If you scroll all the way back on ETH, like just post ICO after it hit that low after the Dow hack, there was an Adam Eve at like $10 before it took off above the cloud. Not saying that'll happen again, but it does look like an Adam Eve has formed here. Target is basically 200, the psychological resistance, previous breakpoint of the triangle. You can see it's got a nice Adam Eve-ish, edge-to-edge-ish setup. The monkey wrench in all this is the hard fork set for February 27th. If it does happen, we will see. I'm certainly more optimistic than last time. I could care less one way or the other. But it will affect prices. It will affect how the market reacts. The hard fork was supposed to be late December, I believe. I might be wrong on that. But you can see how the market reacted. And if you're not familiar with that, the issuance is going down. That's basically the biggest thing by like 33%. So that's bullish, supplies going down. On the BTC pair, you'll see this on a few charts. This weird inverted head and shoulders type fractal. Not saying that it's real or not, just saying something to look for. Luke Martin pointed this out with the falling wedge that sort of dropped off the table into like this crazy upswing reversal. Trend-wise, it's still in the middle, much like Ripple. It's kind of like sideways. I would wait on anything on ETH BTC until after the hard fork. I think it's just gonna like be bonkers not as far as like up or down, but just volatility in general. But I like 200 as a psychological resistance in the near term for ETH, especially if you can get past 150. Then you get Kuma breakout territory, blah blah blah. This is like into March, April, most likely. I don't think it'll hit pre-March, pre-hard fork, past 150. Litecoin, the lightest coin of them all. So Litecoin had a falling wedge breakdown-ish thing. It's interesting that some of these charts look so different, considering a lot of them are correlated pretty highly. But this had this weird clampy, wedgy thing, breakdown, okay, great. Invert head and shoulders, sort of outperform on the market, sort of reach its target. And now it, for God knows why, went up 30% 2 days ago on some massive volume. And so I got in at like 33.98 or something. I got out at like 41, basically because it hit its edge. Sometimes it happens in a candle. Sometimes it happens in 25 candles. It also hit the previous target on the inverted head and shoulders. There's an argument again here for an Adam Eve. I don't think the re-entry would be until we're above the cloud with all the metrics turning bullish. What I love to see on this trend is that it was just down, 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 and now it's finally fighting against resistance, more so than most everything else on the USD pair. You can see how it's almost above the cloud. Again, I think it's going to fight in this zone because it consolidated for a long time. 50 is probably going to be a big psychological resistance. I don't know. We'll see how the halving stuff plays out. It's going to be one of the overperforming proof of work coins, most likely, just because halving is May this year, so in a few months. We'll see. On the LTC BTC pair, it had both an expanding falling wedge thing that I didn't draw out here, as well as this weird inverted head and shoulder complex thing, shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, blah, 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 depending on if you consider that anything or not. And then it just outperformed everything, like BNB, BTC, it just took off above the cloud. I got in on this pair yesterday as well, based on a nice cup and handle that reached its target in like 10 minutes after it broke out. So some of us were watching this just based on it being the weather vane, like I was saying earlier. It kind of, when Bitcoin kind of goes sideways, it kind of makes a decision as far as up or down for the rest of the market. And you can see just the massive volume This is Polo and Bitstamp and Coinbase. So this was a no doubt abouter, a roofer, straight to the tippy top. Right now that looks like a massive shooting star. So you'll see this giant wick, bullish exhaustion. There's probably some bear div on this on lower time frames. But yeah, I'm out just waiting to see how it plays out over the next month, probably. EOS. EOS is pre-breakout, enter trade potential, one of the better charts, if not the best chart, regardless of what I think about EOS as a project. You can see immediately the BTC pair just broke out, and everything is bullish, almost bullish for the first time since pre-July. So it's almost been a year since this thing has actually looked good trend-wise. Adam Eve on both the USD and BTC pair, edge-to-edge potential on the BTC pair. On the USD pair. If you go to the BTC pair on the 2-day, you'll see the edge-to-edge, but most likely it won't be above 84K sats, previous consolidation zone. Again, I'm going to say that over and over. If it did hit 550 on the USD pair, it would certainly be outperforming expectations, I think, but that's the target based on the previous consolidation. And the measured move and whatnot for the Adam Eve is like 3.6. So between 3.6 and 3.8 is a decent upside target here. You can see the TK cross flipped bullish, which it hasn't on XMR. I'll show that in a second. But that's additional bullish confluence. So this looks to me like LTC did, basically, pre-breakout. So very bullish on EOS. As we stand, 3:51 p.m. EST, February 9th. Here's Tron, surprisingly outperforming everything based on gross junk hype. So the dollar pair doesn't really have much data, but on just like the altcoin market cap, we're seeing the diamond bottom that didn't bottom, broke down, and then we got this Adam Eve situation. So if you take Tron and you compare it to where all the other Adam Eves are potentially, that's what you're expecting just in your head visually. It had a double falling wedge breakout to the upside, just like the majors have. It had the first falling wedge was like a 45-degree angle, the second one was like a 30-degree angle. There was div on both of those, blah 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 blah. All the same. The same entry applies for all those charts as well. Enter at the neckline or the horizontal resistance, and your second entry would be Kumo breakout for the bull side. And you can see it's just sort of here. There was even a consolidation pre-breakout that you could have entered as additional confluence. Surprisingly, it broke its diamond consolidation pretty quickly. And it's just kind of in that zone still. And again, it's consolidating not unexpectedly. Sort of telegraphing that's going to move up again with a ascending triangle. Not that I'm a huge fan of Tron. On the BTC pair, it actually had a crazy Wyckoff bottom that I missed and I haven't seen anybody talk about. Basically, it went down massively, automatic rally, retest, and then sort of drift down, retest spring, and there's probably Adam Eve in there. And then this ascending triangle out of the cloud and off to the races it was. Bullish Kumo breakout, and just boom, exploded into another markup, bullish consolidation flag. And we're kind of up here. What I'm showing here isn't necessarily a bear div, but it is signaling bullish momentum weakening, just RSI petering out basically as prices going higher. I wouldn't want to get back into this until it was basically around 600 sats, something like that, 615, whatever the Kumo, Kijun is, the red line there. This probably looks the farthest along out of anything trend-wise. So again, if I'm rotating in and out of stuff, I wouldn't want to be rotating into Tron now as opposed to rotating into EOS now, just based on how it looks on the breakout, pre-breakout, post-breakout. So here's Stellar, STR on Polo, XLM everywhere else. I like the Polo chart, it's got more data. Now I was super bullish on STR pre-breakdown. There was a video of me talking about it in TradingView. Go to the Annals of History to look at that one. It even broke out of the cloud, it broke out of the triangle, like it was a massive, massive fake out. It was just beautiful. Definitely something to remember in the future. When you're watching this stuff, what to do, when and why, as far as when to cut the trade, when to know that it's a fake out versus not, blah, blah, blah. All this was happening in the setting of Bitcoin breaking 6,200 to the downside, so it was unlikely that Stellar was going to just do the opposite of that. One thing here on the USD pair, there is a bull div, lower low with on a higher momentum, higher momentum, higher RSI, so less momentum. Lower low in price, higher low in RSI, less bearish momentum, and you'd expect this to sort of meander up a little bit, but it doesn't look great overall. There isn't an Adam Eve here. There's no reversal pattern in general other than the div. Trend is just down, down, down. The BTC pair is even worse. There's a massive lower low with no div, no pattern, no nothing. You can see the triangle even faked out for quite a while. It outperformed BTC as BTC was going sideways, but then just reversed completely. I think this will continue to actually slide down until after the blockchain.info Stellar airdrop. All airdrops, so Stellar's been airdropped like 3 or 4 times now, and every time it's just melted. Like it's melted all through here, it's melted before this years ago, blah, blah, blah. So until that airdrop is over, I wouldn't touch it. You know, this looked good with alt season as everything else did, but it was also trend-wise on the cloud. That's the litmus test as far as when to enter XLM again. So I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. BNB coin, Binance coin. Now, I'm not a fan of Binance personally. I know people who work there. I think it's a fine establishment, but I don't trust a dime on Binance. That's just me. You know, if I'm leaving money on the table, so be it, but I won't trade there. I won't touch anything. But most of you aren't like that, I know. So if we look at the Tether pair, or USD pair, you can see how massively this outperformed just even the chart pattern. So this is a rising wedge. You expect this to break down. It broke up from a rising wedge. It broke up from a 45+ degree angle rising wedge on the BTC pair. It's just been on a tear since the hype machine. Look, they're doing stuff. Okay, they're doing good stuff. They're doing DEXs. They're doing ICOs now. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's certainly not unwarranted. They're killing it on the exchange side. I don't know. Maybe I'll regret this, I'm sure, in the future, but it's just not for me. I don't want to have this on here, but there was a descending triangle breakdown here around $10. I don't expect the price to just shoot past 10. It's probably going to consolidate a little bit. The BTC pair is basically at all-time high. You can see just how, again, how ridiculous this is. There's not even a bear div on this yet. There probably will be, but there isn't yet. You can see the previous high. We had a I guess it's not a bear div, but it was a nice M double top. So look for that again. M double top. It just looks massively blown out right now. It needs to chill. This may flag, this may pennant, whatever, but pay attention to RSI. And this volume looks anything but organic. Completely washed, fake, whatever. Insert word here. Yeah, it just doesn't look real. Cardano. Cardano kind of looks like ETH. Again, Adam Eve vibes, not perfect, but it's potentially there. It's probably not going to go above 0.75 anytime soon, based on the triangle consolidation breakdown. And it's got inverted head and shoulder vibes with a decent case for a bullish trend incoming here. So this is like nascent trend, fresh out the womb, just been birthed. Okay, it was down for like months and months and months, then went sideways for months and months and months. Now it's decision time. If it gets bullish strength, it is likely to have continuation just based on trend. If we break 1300 sats based on the horizontal, blah, 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 probably going to break up to like 2K sats just based on previous low. You can even use the cloud here as a target, much like you can here, like 13 cents. Kind of an insane target based on where it is now. Certainly not impossible should this scene start to pop. Monero, so for me it goes EOS and Monero as far as the top 2 charts that I'm looking at trade-wise right now as we sit. You can see again, messy diamond bottom that wasn't. The resistance zone going up is always going to be the extreme low and the breakdown point for that. So between 85 and 100, 10-ish. You can see it's got messy Adam Eve. It's got edge-to-edge potential. We're waiting on that bullish TK cross. Had some decent volume the other day. This is on Polo of all places. So you know that that's big volume for Polo. But yeah, it's got a risk reward of above 2. So it's a pretty good trade. It's not like a massive trade, but you know, it has a 2x potential here. And the BTC pair looks like it basically broke out of some sort of triangular consolidation. And is ready for an edge-to-edge to, you know, the R&R here isn't massive, but it certainly looks like it wants to hit 0.15-ish. Probably going to consolidate. Again, previously it had a W double bottom consolidation. IOTA, something else I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, just based on what I know about IOTA being not a blockchain, completely garbage, unsecure, surprised it's even traded anywhere. Anyway, multiple triangle consolidations that broke down. Adam Eve vibes, similar Adam left pretty clean. You can see that there. IOTA and ETH are kind of, look like they're correlated, which is scary because IOTA's a massive giant scam. Again, you're seeing a trend just drift down and ready to make a decision for reversal. This probably doesn't have, it's not going to reverse anytime soon, probably like May, mid-May. Again, if you're using LTC as the weather vane and you're thinking LTC halving's coming up, LTC is going to like just go bonkers potentially based on spec of people thinking about halving. It could just bring a broader alt season somewhere like before May, April, you know, pre-halving, something like that. So we could get just like a massive April alt season, and then after LTC halving, it might just slow down, reverse, whatever. But that's something to think about as well. The BTC pair here has inverted head and shoulder vibes with Kumo breakout vibes. You can see it had this massive slide wedge that broke up. Pretty interesting. Multi-month wedge there. Yeah, and anything above whatever this is, 105 sats, it would probably see some upside to the previous Adam Eve. See, now that we know what that is, we can see it everywhere. Even on the carpet and in the ceiling. Dash. Decent R&R on these trades as well for the USD pair. Similar to everything else, Adam Eve, triangle consolidation. Said it 10 times by now. Not much on the BTC pair as far as to mark it up, other than just down. You know, it's ready to make a decision. It's actually a case for, I guess, a cleaner W double bottom here, but I wouldn't enter this or think about entering it until it's above the cloud. I don't have the 200 EMA on here, but even that's another sanity check. You know, is it above the cloud? Is it above the 200 EMA? But overall, doesn't look like pressing to enter at this moment. Neo, same thing. Triangle consolidation down. Adam Eve vibes, edge-to-edge vibes. It's got the potential of 2x-ish from current price. I think 12 is a decent target if it can get into the cloud. With everything else, you know, all this stuff will move together. Neo BTC, same thing. Triangle down, Adam Eve, decision time on the cloud. It's going to thin out somewhere into April, late March. We'll see what happens. Another thing that could affect all these charts is, again, is the ETH hard fork. They could like just completely make these patterns whack, but end up still working out after the fact into mid-March, something like that. Here's ETC, adding it to the wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole list based on the 51% attack, and based on being a Hoskinson project. Yeah, I just wouldn't touch it. Garzik, Hoskinson, Larimer, anybody. I do trade EOS, but I don't like it, okay? So it had a falling wedge break down. Just rats falling, leaving a sinking ship, basically. But it does have a pretty nice case for Adam Eve double bottom. Maybe nicer than most things here that we've looked at on the USD pair. And a decent case for pretty good R&R up. This was the old all-time high, so it's no surprise it bounced from there. On the BTC pair, Similar low touch of an extreme low. If you scroll out, zoom out, similar falling wedge breakdown, just massive dropping off the table here. Pretty big atom left as well. And forming its eve, again, mid-March, early May, something like that. Early April. I'd watch this to break out. Not a huge upside though. So, there's no reason to trade this for me. Zcash. Something else I really don't like based on the inflation at 44%. And you can fight that all you want, but it is what it is. It's math, bro. Much like Monero. So Monero and Zcash kind of look the same-ish in certain aspects. You know, it had this diamond bottom that wasn't messy, you know, this weird thing. So it broke down really heavy. We have Adam Eve vibes with a really long falling wedge that broke up yesterday on bullish divergence as well. Not quite seeing the volume we're seeing everywhere else. Possibly because this is Polo, but could 2x from here. Again, I don't like Zeke. I don't trust the inflation. I just don't think it'll outperform most things. It can certainly pop up like everything else. Again, like I'm saying, Adam Eve, edge to edge, blah, blah, blah. But it's just not for me. The sanity check will forever be the 200-day moving average on the daily chart for the BTC pair. It's never, and sans here, ever been above the 200 EMA. And now it's just in this really tight downward channel, aka death spiral. This is a candidate for me of a coin that could easily just disappear. So we'll see what happens. I can see like it merging with ETH sometime in the future. I don't know, we'll look at this in 5 years from now, see if I was right. Waves, never traded it, don't look at it ever, but it's on the MCAP list pretty high. It did kind of outperform everything, much like BNB. I don't really know why. I don't know the news around waves. If this might have just been pump and dump stuff, I don't know. But again, if I'm rotating in between things, I don't want to put anything into waves because it's already broken out. It's already done its thing. It's below the cloud. Trend says down. There's no pattern. There's no nothing here. You could argue a falling wedge-ish thing, but it's just messy. And anything with this volume, you know, it was like washed fake, dead. Here's some organic, dead, and then just completely nonsensical. That's on Binance. Another reason why I don't trade on Binance. On the BTC pair, it's got an inverted Adam Eve ready to break down below the cloud. Another reason not to touch it. Again, it's already broken out. It did break out on a nice bear div, but that's come and gone. And I don't know the name of this pattern, but when you get two extreme lows with a low in the middle, it's like a juxtaposed inverted head and shoulders or something. I don't know. But also Adam Eve type vibes. Again, if we're like thinking visually where things should look post falling wedge, if it's an Adam Eve, this is another chart you can look at. You know, it had its falling wedge, now it's having, or it had that massive upside, and it made the Eve like not clean U, but you know, it got to the neckline or horizontal resistance and went from there. QTUM, something else I never trade, don't touch, just it's on the MCAP. Adam Eve vibes, edge to edge vibes, not going to break $4 anytime soon based on previous triangle consolidation. Much like ETH and ADA, it's got this probably better case for inverted head and shoulders here than anything else, with the potential for a diamond bottom here. So it's got a decision point coming up into March, April, something like that. Again, whenever I see this, I start licking my chops because it just went down, 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 almost straight down, you know, from wherever it was, just straight down. So it has a potential for a nice like relief rally, 50% of this from a high to low. My guess, just eyeballing it, somewhere around 1600 sats in the long run, not anytime soon. OMG, triangle consolidation breakdown, Adam Eve, edge to edge potential, same story. It did have a nice bull div here, but it's breaking out yesterday. Had a nice bull div on the BTC pair. Same thing as QTUM, just straight down, no chaser. Doesn't look remotely bullish at all, but certainly you can watch it going into March and April for that trend reversal to the 50% upside, probably around 900 sats. I don't know. Not something I would trade. Not something I normally look at. Decred, A lot of people are talking about Decred because of the proof of work, proof of stake hybrid consensus. It's got a lot of mining hash rate amping up into it because a bunch of ASICs just came out, or came out in the past few months. Much like everything else, it did have its falling wedge break up with volume waiting on the bullish ticket cross, but Adam Eve vibes into edge-to-edge vibes. Probably not going to break 30 initially. This is an old consolidation point. But yeah, looks good for up. Looks good for 2x from here, basically. I don't see any reason not to trade it if we get this edge-to-edge potential. But anything above 30 is probably a little generous based on what happened previously. And it's certainly not going to break 40 in the next few months, I wouldn't think. The BTC pair, same story. Edge-to-edge potential. You can see this previous breakdowns. It's probably not going to break 5,500 sats, whatever that is, anytime soon. You know, it might spike up above that and then just sort of chill and then make a decision from there. But there's an edge-to-edge potential there. One thing that's should be considered when you're thinking about getting into trades with heavily mined coins or spec mined coins is that for the most part they're likely just being dumped on market. So there has to be a lot of buying to absorb that. Something to consider when something ASIC is getting ASIC'd. Augur surprisingly outperformed a lot of stuff on the USD pair. It had both a technical break on the BTC pair. Again, you can see this. Like, it's funny, people are like, why do you use cloud? It's garbage, blah, blah, blah. Like, well, it, got you in that trade exactly where it should have, and it broke out exactly from that point. And this happens over and over and over again. Or people tell me, like, your settings are garbage. I hate you, whatever. Like, well, it is what it is. But this is what you want to see. You want to see your system tell you when to enter at a sniper-like rate. So it had a inward head shoulder-ish thing, edge-to-edge thing. And again, if I'm rotating between stuff, I don't want to be in rep right now. It just looks like it's going to chill sideways. I don't like the project anyway. So if you're on that time horizon, you're looking at 5 to 10 years, according to Joey, or whatever it is, 10 to 20. Who knows? I haven't heard 50 year yet, but I'm sure that's the next thing they're going to tell us. And the BTC pair is like Adam Eve or M double top. Nastiness. Doesn't look like anything that I want to trade currently. Last two here. So I'm looking at BAT and ZRX mainly because the charts are pretty similar. And it just goes to show you that, like, it doesn't really matter what the fundamentals are because ERC20 tokens that are relatively the same timeline kind of trade the same. So BAT on the dollar pair had a building bull div that sort of broke up. You could argue a falling wedge here as well. But what it doesn't have is that Adam Eve potential. It just, it just doesn't. I mean, it had a breakup from a downtrend consolidation, but overall it doesn't look as good as a lot of this other stuff does. It's got edge-to-edge potential to 25 cents, which would be super generous. We'll see. BAT, I think BAT's biggest problem is there's too many tokens in circulation. Just end of story. You can argue that till the cows come home if you want with me, but if it's got 1 billion tokens, I just don't see how it's gonna stay at a level, at a level above $1. But maybe down the line it will. On the BTC chart, it looks like it has a almost multi-year consolidation into this triangle. And you'll see on the ZRX chart what the downside would look like, but it should break one way or the other this year. I don't know what to expect. If it gets some hype vibe stuff, like Brave is a great browser, don't get me wrong. I just think the token is garbage. And for anybody who contributes to me through BAT, thank you. I appreciate it. I do collect the BAT. I have it all. I haven't sold any of it. But this should break the triangle this year. Shouldn't keep going much longer. This is a 2-day, so it's super slow. Something to pay attention to post-August maybe. If this does break up, I'm just measuring the width to the breakpoint up. And it would basically be 10k sats psychological resistance. Okay. It would be the previous high before breaking down. Plenty of compliments there. decent R&R between 5 and 6 or more, depending on how this looks as it's breaking up. But I don't expect it to consolidate for this long and then just sort of chill at like the previous highs. It might pause there, but it's probably going to be pretty explosive. I don't think it's just going to sit at one price. And you'll see the volume just go bonkers as well. But, the downside for that is 0, basically, or a little bit above 0. These previous lows would be where it would be caught. On ZRX, just to compare, it looks very similar. It's got this giant, like, death automatic rally and then just consolidate. And then for this one, it just fell off the bottom. And not even a bull div in sight, folks. Just straight down, no hope. Much like Zeke, like I wouldn't even think about trading this on the long side anytime soon. On the dollar pair for ZRX, it's got, just like BAT, broke up-ish a couple days ago from the falling wedge bull div thing. I don't know if this volume is real in Bitfinex, but it's pretty miraculous. I haven't looked at what the USD value of that is, but pretty insane volume spike there. But what you'd be waiting for the long side would be the bullish DK cross with the edge to edge all the way up. Ride that sucker, 50 cents psychological resistance, previous support, and then 68 cents. This would be months down the line, not anything soon, something to watch. Alright, if you made it through, congratulations, you deserve a medal. This video should suffice for the next few months, like 6 months, I think. It kind of shows the setups, shows where the trend would flip based on the cloud. So again, like or dislike, if you watched all this, if you made it all the way through and hate me, give me that dislike. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe. Links in the description below, timestamps in the description below, and happy trading.